Shark attacks are extremely rare. You're unlikely to meet one in the flesh, let alone be bitten. But during World War II, the sinking of a U.S. Navy ship led to one of the most infamous shark attacks in history and the deaths of hundreds of men, with the explosion drawing in the apex predators and sparking a feeding frenzy that lasted for days. In July 1945, the USS Indianapolis had completed a trip to a naval base on the Pacific island of Tinian to deliver uranium and other components that would be used to create the atomic bomb Little Boy. The first nuclear weapon ever used in wartime, it would later be dropped on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. After delivering the parts, the Indianapolis departed for the Philippines on training duty. Shortly after midnight on July 30th, the ship was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine, causing massive damage. It began to take on huge amounts of water and sank in just 12 minutes. Of the 1,195 men on board, around 300 went down with the ship, but nearly 900 were left adrift in the open ocean. At the USS Indianapolis, the bodies of the dead and the injured were picked off first. Survivor Corporal Edgar Harrell told the Indianapolis Star in 2014, "That first morning we had sharks. As men got separated, they would be targeted," he explained. "You hear a blood-curdling scream, and then the body would go under, and then that life vest popped back up." The men were too scared to eat or move for fear of being preyed upon. According to the report of a survivor, one of the sailors opened a can of Spam, the primary ration at the time, but was surrounded by sharks, resulting in a feeding frenzy. Feeding frenzies typically occur when there is a sudden abundance of food, such as when a large school of fish is trapped in a small area, Bouillon said. The scent of blood and the thrashing of prey can trigger a feeding frenzy, causing sharks to swarm and compete for the available food. For 4 days, no rescue arrived. Although the U.S. Navy had received word that a Japanese submarine had sunk a U.S. vessel, the message was believed to be fake, in an attempt to lure American rescue boats into a trap. Meanwhile, the survivors tried to stay alive by floating in groups, but in the scorching heat, many succumbed to dehydration. Others died from hypernatremia, too much sodium in the blood, from being forced to drink the salty seawater. Eventually, a Navy plane flying overhead spotted the Indianapolis survivors and radioed for help. Food, water, and rafts were dropped for the surviving men, before a seaplane was landed by Lieutenant Adrian Marks to rescue some of the survivors from the sharks. Finally, the USS Cecil J. Doyle helped to pull the remaining survivors from the water. Only 316 men survived.